Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going over all the recent NDA leaks that have happened. Steven released the NDA, the verbal NDA on all of our testers that have been testing up until this point, and we are just days away from Alpha 2 launch on the 25th. There's some good, there's some bad. I think we need to reset some expectations, so let's just jump right into it. All right, well, what do we know so far? Well, we know that primarily everything that was in the phase one breakdown that Intrepid gave us for expectations is pretty much in right now in Alpha 2, minus a few things. Most of the testers have been talking about that the core functionality of a lot of systems is in. You can be a Kalar, a Vec, and the Empyrean race is in already. So we're expecting to have 3 races at the launch of Alpha 2. And that the game in itself, or the state of Ashes of Creation, is a bit rough. So I think this is where our expectations as a community, as gamers, as enthusiasts of this project, if you've been following it for a while, need to bring our expectations back to the ground and really get grounded, right? The overall opinion of all the testers that I've been able to hear about or see or read, watching other content creators, talk with other people and people that I've just talked to in general, the vast majority of them believe that the game is in a good state. However, it is really, really rough. It is a true alpha. It's not as bad as when it first started, when the testing period for our initial Alpha 1 and PI folks started, I think maybe 2 months or 3 months ago. It was in a very rough state, almost unplayable. And the good news is the vast majority of testers have said that Intrepid is quite quick to implement changes, to implement mass updates to the servers, to the client, right, to all of that, to update the testing phase. So that's good to hear. The leveling process is a bit stagnant, I think, or it's just different, right? Because one of the biggest concerns was when we got the released Alpha 2 map, it was very clear to see that one side of the map, or a certain portion of the Alpha 2 map, was content rich, and the other half of the map was content barren, right? And unfortunately, that has been confirmed to be true. The vast majority of quests and such are going to be in the middle to the right side of that Alpha 2 testing map. So if Winstead, Miraleth is probably the most fleshed out areas. I think someone had said Miraleth is probably the most fleshed out node as far as content and, just interest of the node itself, an identity of the node, if you will. So unfortunately, for those people who wanted to explore that left side of the map, the vast majority of what you're going to see is just the open area of the Riverlands with the different mob type density. That was one question that I had asked a bunch of testers, was what is the density like? What are the levels of these mobs? Is there a good variety? And the information that I got was that, it is a good spread of monsters. It is a good spread of like the AI of the monsters to keep you on your toes. There's enough of variety going on. So that was good. But, like I said, unfortunately, right, I think the lack of content is leading to the vast majority of people having to turn to grinding mobs for XP. And that was pretty consistent across the board for most testers, was once you hit a certain level, the quests don't really provide that much XP. There isn't that much XP to be gained by doing quests, and they're more of an afterthought at this point. So to me, the impression I got was grab the quests, don't focus on them solely just because you want to gain XP that way. Go out, grab a quest, go out and do things in the world, test things, engage in the systems, PvP, exploring, grinding mobs, things like that, and do the quests as you see. Again, this is my personal opinion on the matter, just by gaining information from people that have already been in testing. But the main area of XP in testing phase is going to be grinding mobs, at least in phase 1, or in the current state of the testing client, or the testing game, right? I don't want to call it a game because it's not a game, and I don't want, and again, we're trying to set expectations, right, that this is not a finished game and not an early access game. This is going to be a true alpha, and I think even for me personally, hearing the feedback from some of these testers is really grounded me, and I wouldn't say lowered my expectations, but has brought them maybe to a state of where they're currently at, right? My personal take on the matter is I don't necessarily agree with how things have been presented to us, the community, versus what they truly are. So a lot of the testers have given feedback that what you see in some of these live streams that Intrepid does on a monthly basis is not in actuality what is in the testing realm right now, or in the quote-unquote game. A good call out on this was, it was about 2 years ago that we were shown the character creator and, tattoos and things like that the character creator could do. They even had like an Asmongold look-alike in the character creator. None of that is really as it was shown in that showcase. Yes, you can create a character. Yes, you can kind of, shape the body parts of your character, and you can apply tattoos, but that's about it. You cannot go as detailed as creating a Asmongold look-alike or anything like that. And I think someone was saying that the hair is bugged out now on the character creator too. So either you're either all bald, or you either all have the same hair, something along those lines. I don't remember. There's been a lot of information coming. So character creator was not what we were shown, and that's unfortunate, right? I think also too, some of the polish on some of the zones is not the same as we would see. And what I mean by zone is the Riverlands, right? There's clearly an area of the Riverlands that has been showcased a lot by Intrepid, and it looks good. But there are some areas of the world of the Riverlands that are probably not as developed as the ones that we've seen. So a good example of this is, right now we're watching the Node Wars stream playing on the background. And this is in one of the areas that is between Winstead and Miraleth. And you can see it's fairly developed. It's, got good density with, the surrounding area, the trees, bridges, choke points. It's got good detail. The saturation of colors is good. The shadows are good. But you contrast that with what we saw in the Bard showcase, where everything was kind of muted. That was in an area that was, quote unquote, in an underdeveloped area. So maybe it's just because of that's why the visuals are not the same as what we're seeing here. It's just not developed. It's not as polished as this area. So I think bringing down your expectations for the entirety of the Alpha 2 map is a good idea. Unfortunately, they didn't have, the vast majority of folks said that they didn't have the mass numbers of testers that they wanted to engage in PvP, in mass PvP. Hopefully with the influx of testers, more PvP is going to get fleshed out. And a lot of the feedback around classes and archetypes is what we expect. There is some things within the archetypes themselves that is not like really polished or not there yet, but everything is very functional. Some of the systems that I was looking forward to, like hunting, fishing, surveying, unfortunately, I think we did get some feedback that some of those systems are just very basic, very, very rudimentary, very bare bones. Fishing was basically described as an AFK type thing where, you know, every 28 minutes you'd have to move your character because apparently there's a 30-minute delay on kicking you back to the title screen if you're not moving. But essentially for fishing, you can just throw out your line and you don't have to do anything. Hunting was described as, you know, you pet a tamed animal and you either get that animal in your inventory or a part of that animal in your inventory. No one has said anything about surveying yet, so maybe that has not been implemented. So I think overall, guys, what we need to do is we need to bring it in and again reset our expectations to a very rough and true alpha. But also it is a bit sad that what we have been shown by Intrepid doesn't really emulate what is actually the current state of Alpha 2 testing of Ashes of Creation. So let me get your opinions, guys. Go down in the comments, leave what you think about it so far. Leave any feedback if you're a tester. Leave your experience in the comments. Please be sure to like and share the video if you found some value. Please do subscribe also. It's completely free. A vast majority of you are returning viewers. But the overall reaching arc of the channel is most of you are not subscribed to the channel. All you have to do is just hit that button and you get subscribed to the channel. So I do appreciate you guys as always, and we'll see ya on the next one.